The Orbital Bar and Grill was usually a cheerful and lively place. Roxy enjoyed his shifts there, learning the rules of the strange, weapon games and sacrificing, his tips to the gods of poker. But one day, the boss emerged from his office, his hackles raised and smelling like a blocked toilet. The boss looked at an elderly human and told Roxy, "This man is different from the others. Even they stay away from him. Keep serving him until the militia comes to collect him. No bill, no conversation. If my furniture is still standing at the end of the night, I'll give you the weekend off and double pay." Then he handed Roxy a heavy iron bar from under the bar, saying, "Use this if you need to. It's got a few dents in it. The locals know what it means." Roxy was puzzled. "Boss, the man isn't doing anything. He paid cash," he said. But the boss replied harshly, "I know, but that man is dangerous. Every time he comes, someone ends up dead. I don't want you to die either." The boss closed the security doors and retreated back to his office. Roxy stood there, unsure of what to do with the iron bar. Suddenly, the silent man at the bar slammed an empty glass on the counter. Roxy quickly refilled his drink, remembering the boss's warnings and feeling uneasy around the man. Two of the bar's regular customers arrived. They too seemed disturbed by the man's presence. One of them approached Roxy. "Whatever he drinks, whatever he breaks, no limit. Understand?" Roxy realized these customers were also different from the regular patrons. They knew something about the man. The customers retreated to a corner and began drinking in silence. Roxy brought them their drinks, and they exchanged a brief toast, then continued drinking quietly. Roxy approached the elderly man. "Sir, the other customers say you're an Iron Man. The boss is worried you might hurt someone here. The other customers also seem to be in mourning. Can you explain to me what's going on?" The old man straightened up. His eyes were a clear green and his hidden bulk became visible. "Lad, I'm one of the Iron Men. Today is a sort of holy day for us. We remember our homeworld. Just give me plenty of Izzy, local drink, and leave me be," he said. Then he turned to the customers in the corner and made a toast. "Gaia lives," before downing his drink in one gulp. Roxy couldn't fully understand the significance of the man's words, but he could feel the weight of the moment. In the behavior of the man and the other customers, it was as if this day was special and important to them. Suddenly the doors burst open, and Roxy recognized a familiar race, the Wrens, who had caused him trouble in the past. They barged in loudly and laughing. Roxy told them to close the door, but one of them grinned and said, "I think you just challenged me," stepping inside. The elderly man spoke in a tired voice. "Child, I've seen your kind before. We defeated you in the war. Your queen likely died by my blade, and I ate your king. You taste like crab to me?" The Wren recoiled in shock, then lashed out in anger. "You have a blood debt to pay for that." Chaos erupted in the bar. Roxy gripped the iron bar tightly, seeing the two regular customers grabbing chairs to defend themselves. The old man rose from his chair in a blurred motion and pounced on the Wren, who fell to the ground, screaming. The others met the same fate. The old man stepped outside. The sounds of screams and blood continued. One of the regular customers took a swig from the bottle. "They never learn. They destroyed our home, but we didn't make it in time. That's why the Iron Men exist. They're not human anymore. Their blood is full of nanobots. You can't kill them again, but they'll never stop seeking vengeance." Today is the 200th anniversary of when they lost their home. Roxy was struggling to make sense of what he had witnessed. This was far from the bar he knew. The boss had warned that the old man was dangerous, but Roxy had only seen him quietly drinking. Now he had single-handedly killed all the Wrens. Roxy had no idea such powerful and immortal beings existed. Roxy had to close the bar that night. The boss later came and, upon hearing Roxy's account, said, "I knew that man's presence here would cause trouble. But since you handled it well, you can have the weekend off and double pay." Roxy felt relieved at the boss's words, but the weight of that night's events still lingered. The old man and the other customers had said it was a holy day. Roxy understood they were mourning the loss of their home planet. After that night, Roxy often found himself thinking about the old man and the other customers. When he was alone at the bar, he could feel their pain and anger. If the old man ever returned, Roxy wanted to talk to him more, to try and better understand the deeper meaning of what had happened that night. A year passed. One day, when Roxy arrived at work, the boss called him over. "Son, that old man came in last night, but unfortunately he collapsed right in the middle of the bar and died." "Another customer died with him," he said. Roxy was shocked. The events of that night had come to mean so much to him. In his eyes, the old man had become a hero. Roxy couldn't believe the boss's words. "But boss, was that man dangerous?" he asked. The boss shook his head. "No, he wasn't dangerous. But men like him are always targets. I hope he's found peace at last." Roxy raised a glass of Izzy, local drink, in memory of the old man. "Gaia lives," he whispered. Despite the empty and quiet bar, Roxy didn't feel alone. It was as if the old man's spirit was there with him. Months passed, and Roxy continued to reflect on the events of that night, trying to make sense of it all. One day, the boss came to him with a new offer. "Son, an Iron Man came by today. He's inviting you to work with him. If you work with the Iron Men, you can find a job anywhere in the world. I think you should take it." Roxy hesitated. He remembered the old man's sacrifice and the Iron Men's fury. But he also knew of their strength and immortality. Perhaps working with them would help him better understand what had happened that night. Roxy accepted the offer. He was now a part of the Iron Men. He began to better understand their pain, their anger, and their thirst for vengeance. But he also admired their sense of justice and integrity. As the years passed, Roxy started to think and feel like the Iron Men. He tracked down the races that had destroyed their home planet, fought against them, and took his revenge. But he also defended peace, justice, and goodness. Roxy had become a true Iron Man. One day, the boss came to Roxy. "Son, I have a favor to ask. We're having the grand opening celebration for my new bar. Can you invite one of the Iron Men? Their presence would be a great honor for my customers." Roxy proudly agreed. He invited an Iron Man, and on the opening night, libations were poured in his honor. After that night, Roxy's standing among the Iron Men rose. Over time, he also discovered his own Iron Man identity. Now, his sole purpose was to defend Gaia and her lost children, seeking justice for the past sufferings and leaving a fair world for future generations had become his only goal.